Hello everyone, welcome back to My Hero Academia Podfic. Today will be the continuation of Burn Your Wings. This will be Part 8, Chapter 8, entitled When Like Meets Like. The second stage of the sports festival is a human cavalry battle, and for coming in first place in the previous event, a whopping 10 million points are placed on Izuku's head. Plus ultra indeed. With a staggering amount of individual points, the added points with his teammates may bring doesn't even matter. The problem is convincing anyone to team up with him in the first place, because no matter how you look at it, that 10 million is a target more than anything else. But before Izuku can start to panic, familiar voices call out to him. Deku! Midoriya! Hey, Midoriya! Izuku turns to find a group of his classmates gathered around him. They themselves blink at each other, then break into understanding grins. Sero sheepishly rubs the back of his neck. Guess everyone had the same idea, huh? The same idea? Izuku repeats, perplexed. Ashido playfully jostles him. We want to team up with you, duh. Izuku blinks. What? I'm grateful, but why? And maybe he's looking a gift horse in the mouth, but it doesn't make any sense. But his classmates don't seem to agree with him. What do you mean, why? Why not? Yeah, we know you're strong and capable. You always have a plan, Ribbit. And we want to make it up to you. Huh? Uraraka lifts her chin and meets Izuku's eyes determinedly. I couldn't help you with the USJ, but this time I'll do better. I'll be better. This time, I won't let you down. Izuku listens to Uraraka's vehement promise with wide eyes, and then looks around to find her sentiment reflected on all the other faces. Oh, he realizes. Uraraka, Asui, Sero, Sato, Ashido, Shoji. All of them are from the group that was with Izuku at the entrance of the USJ. Asui gives him a smile. Ochako is right, Ribbit. Part of me wants to team up with you because I know that you're a strategic planner and a great leader, but also, this time, I want to help you, like you helped me. And Izuku can tell that she's sincere, that they're sincere, and he doesn't know how to respond. They say that weathering hardship brings people together. It looks like that's true. He wants to tell them that they've already more than helped with their support and friendship, that it's not their fault Kurogiri kidnapped him, that they shouldn't blame themselves. But he also knows that they won't believe him. Not yet. So Izuku swallows thickly and puts as much sincerity as he can into his next words. Thank you. In the end, Izuku forms a team with Uraraka, Shoji, and Hatsumi Mei from the support department. The others assure Izuku not to feel bad for not choosing them and wander away. Hey, I wonder if Bakugo might... Oh, dang it, he's already made a team. Before they form a team among themselves. Thanks to having formed a team pretty quickly, they have plenty of time to discuss strategies. All right, Izuku begins as his team gathers around him. The goal of the human cavalry battle is to get as many points as possible, but we will be playing a different game. Even if one team manages to hoard all the other points, it'll be nothing compared to our 10 million. So all we need to do is defend our headband, but the problem is that pretty much everyone will come for us. But you have a plan, right? Uraraka says, and it's less of a question as it is confirmation. Izuku nods. Shoji will be our radar. With your eyes and ears, you can let any of us know where people are coming from, if there are any ambushes. With Uraraka making everyone except herself weightless, I can pull us really fast in any direction, giving us mobility. But it's only in a straight line and has no brakes. That's where Hatsume's babies come in. Hatsume, you and Uraraka will have a thruster in each and use them to dodge other teams in the way or cushion our momentum before we hit a wall or something. If we keep this up for long enough, the other teams will eventually get desperate and target each other instead of us to get as many points as they can before the 15 minutes are up. And less attention on us means less danger, so it'll be easier to defend ourselves later on. He pauses, his rapid-fire instructions to look up at them. Does that sound all right to you all? Uraraka beams. Of course it does, Deku. As expected, Midoriya. Shoji nods with a smile. Their unwavering faith in him is doing things to Izuku's stomach, and his heart, maybe even his head. Hatsumi is making creepy chuckling noises out of the corner of her mouth, looking absolutely delighted. Oh, I knew it was a good choice to team up with you, and you're calling my babies babies. We're going to get along so well. President Mike is starting the countdown, and Uraraka uses her quirk on everyone before they get into position, and bolsters Izuku up into his rider seat. He ties their headband of 10,290 points firmly on his head. Uraraka, Shoji, Hatsume. He bares his teeth, and their answering grins are almost as savage as his. Let's do this. Start. As soon as President Mike gives the signal, a swarm of teams head out towards them. But Team Izuku is already on the move. Opening at 7 o'clock, Shoji calls out, his tentacle-like arms swerving around and checking all angles, with the eyes and ears on the ends. Got it, Izuku replies and pulls them in that direction, far out of the way, before the foremost groups can even get within a range of them. A few people from another team yelp as Team Izuku comes flying in their direction. Uraraka, Hatsume. Roger, they gleefully shout as they aim their thrusters. A well-timed blast sends them whizzing past the other teams instead of crashing into them. Uraraka laughs delightedly. This is so much fun. Hatsumi does her creepy low cackle. And did you see their faces? Everyone's sure to be looking at my babies now. My babies are so cute. The tentacle-mouthed Shoji is keeping near Izuku. He grins, and Izuku himself laughs out loud at that. Do you think we could grab a few headbands, too, just in case? The other boy asks. Izuku hums, looking around the arena. Not yet. It's a good backup plan, but let's wait until the targets are more dispersed and everyone starts paying less attention to us. What we really want is for fewer people to be coming for us. But if we take their headbands now, they might just take it personally and hound us until later. Ah, understood. They continue on like that, evading any team by a large margin. It's a good few minutes before a roar finally catches up to them. Deku! Kacchan! Izuku sputters as Bakugo comes blasting towards them from the sky. He manages to shake off his shock and pulls them out of the way, trusting Uraraka and Hatsume to glide and control their path. Bakugo's horses, consisting of Kirishima, Jiro, and Tokiyami, hurry to catch up with him. Dark Shadow plucks a grumpy Bakugo out of the air and back to his rider seat. Bakugo struggles against its hold, though Izuku notices he isn't blasting at it and shakes his fist at Izuku. You better not be thinking about half and half, you bastard. I told you to keep your eyes on me. I was first, and you're mine. Uraraka makes a small huh, and muses with a thoughtful expression. You know, that kind of sounds romantic if you take it out of context. Shut the fuck up, round-face. Round-faced, she sputters, but Bakugo isn't even listening to her anymore. Hair for brains. Charge, he commands, repeatedly bonking Kirishima's hardened head. Man, just have some chill, dude, the boy complains. Tokiyami and Jiro have a long-suffering look, though judging from the headbands around Bakugo's neck, neither are regretting having teamed up with him to begin with. But Izuku just grins and gives Bakugo a cheeky salute. Sorry, Kacchan, but I gotta go. Incoming from 2, 8, and 5 o'clock, comes Shoji's warning, and Izuku pulls them far away in a heartbeat. Bakugo's enraged scream trails after them. Deku! Fucking fight me! Get in line, he chirps back. The fuck do you mean? I've been in line for 10 years, you fucking arrogant bastard. His rant is cut short when someone from Class 1B, Monoma, swipes Bakugo's headband in the moment of distraction, and just like that, all of Bakugo's rage, frustration, and attention is promptly switched to Monoma's team. Poor things. They have no idea what they're dealing with. Uraraka snickers into her hand as Monoma is literally bombarded with Bakugo's brand of intensity. But their moment of humor is cut short when a new team slides in front of him. Now the first half of the 15 minutes are up, President Mike gleefully shouts among the chaos. Todoroki's mismatched eyes bore into Izuku's. It's time. I'm taking that headband. Izuku sets his jaw determinedly. His eyes flit over the other team. Todoroki, Ida, Yaoyorozu, Kaminari. Wait, Kaminari? Oh shit, he knows exactly what Todoroki's planning. Emergency! Evacuate! He yells, in warning to his team before pulling them as fast and as far away as he can. And it's not a moment too soon. Just as they've cleared range, Yaoyorozu pulls an insulation sheet over her teammates as Kaminari discharges, stopping everyone nearby in their tracks so that Todoroki can firmly freeze them to the ground. Then he snatches their headbands for good measures before Ida puts on a burst of speed to approach Izuku's team again. A wall of ice shoots up in front of Izuku, cutting off their escape. A mini arena of ice forms all around the two teams, preventing them from pulling away. Izuku tisks. Shoji is strong, but not strong enough to punch through layers of ice. Maybe Sato could have done it, but Izuku had prioritized mobility and situational awareness over raw firepower when forming his team, after all. He can use one for all, if it comes down to it, but he needs to keep as many limbs in working order for as long as possible. And this isn't even the last event, considering that. We have two options, he says quickly to his team before Todoroki gets too close. We can try to get out of here and keep running away in open space like we originally planned, but it'll be risky because Team Todoroki won't let us go that easily. And looking for an opening while also keeping away from them isn't going to be easy either. Not to mention the fact that we'll also have to deal with all the other teams even if we do manage to get out. The second option is staying here until the time runs out. We'll be under Todoroki's concentrated attack, but we also don't have to worry about any other teams. We can use this situation to our advantage. Shoji nods. Understood. I trust your judgment. It's your call, Midoriya. We're with you, Deku, Uraraka confirms, and Hatsumi hums in agreement. Their easy faith in him makes something warm curl in his chest, and it's not just the ball of flames that he's cradling against it either. He swallows. He can't afford to let them down. Izuku eyes Team Todoroki, who are approaching cautiously. Yaoyorozu's creation quirk is versatile and tricky to deal with. Kaminari's discharge can shock them in place. Ida's speed could follow them wherever they go, and Todoroki's ice is a formidable foe. He considers his options, the risks, the gains. He bares his teeth in a grin. Let's take them on. Amazing! Team Midoriya has been evading all pursuers, but in that enclosed space Todoroki has set up, it's only a matter of time before the 10 million switches place. Or so I thought until 5 minutes ago. But Midoriya has managed to keep away all this time, even in the small arena set up by his opponent. Izuku can really tell that Present Mike is genuinely having a field day and not just playing up his excitement for the sake of entertaining the crowd. Team Izuku has been staying on Todoroki's left, keeping Ida and Yaoyorozu between them as well, Todoroki's right side at all times so that they can't attack efficiently without harming Ida. Kaminari's discharge is indiscriminate, so Team Todoroki has to pull the insulator sheet over themselves if he wants to use it, which also gives Team Izuku plenty of time to get out of range. And with those handicaps, they've been able to play this game of keep away. Even in all their classes, Todoroki has only ever used the heat side of his quirk to defrost his ice, never for anything more. Izuku had wondered, is still wondering why, but he can't focus on that now. At the moment, all he can afford to do is exploit it. With only a minute left, Izuku can tell that their opponents are getting frustrated. Ida grits his teeth and seems to say something to Todoroki. Then his engines glow blue, and suddenly Team Todoroki is past Izuku. What? Izuku whirls around, a hand flying up to check his forehead. Nothing's there. Oh, look what we have here. The 10 million has finally switched hands, or rather, heads, Present Mike screams delightedly. Ida grins at them over his shoulder, and Izuku is impressed, despite himself, to have kept a move like that secret from them all this time, only to use it at the last moment. But then again, no one can measure up to Izuku when it comes to keeping secrets about quirks. 20 seconds left, Present Mike calls out gleefully. Shoji. Izuku calls softly as he prepares himself. Be ready to catch me. Midori. Izuku takes a page out of Bakugo's book, leaves his alarmed teammates behind in a burst of speed as he pulls himself towards the wall of ice next to Team Todoroki. Thanks to Uraraka making him weightless, he flies like a bullet. In that short span of a moment, his mind is in overdrive. Izuku had placed their headband around his neck. Todoroki did the same, but there's no telling which one it is. Izuku can only pull one thing at a time, and if he tries pulling them one after the other, Todoroki would clue in and just hold on to them. So pulling the headbands is out of the question. He needs to grab them with his own hands. And as for interference, quirk analysis is Izuku's specialty. He sees Ida's engines sputter and die out. A power-up like that is bound to have a heavy risk or a penalty. It looks like his engines are completely shot for the moment, rendering the entire team immobile. That means he only has to worry about dealing with Todoroki. Izuku's right on top of the other team now. He plants a foot on Ida's shoulder. The bespectacled boy yelps in surprise, "Sorry, Ida," and grasps his right hand towards Todoroki's throat, with One for All charging through it. Just like a microwave. Don't let it burst. Don't let it hurt. Don't let it hurt him. Todoroki's mismatched eyes are opened wide in alarm as he brings up his left arm. Flames swirl around his arm, and Izuku grits his teeth in anticipation of the burn, but then Todoroki freezes. The flames die out in a blink. Izuku uses this moment of distraction to push aside his arm and grab all the headbands around his neck. He kicks off of Ida's shoulder as soon as he has them, narrowly avoiding Yaoyorozu trying to grab him, and pulls himself away. Shoji, he calls back as he flies backwards. Even if they have their headband and more, it'll all be for nothing if Izuku hits the ground and gets disqualified. He doesn't have a way to counter his pull mid-air, so he's literally taking a leap of faith. Maybe he could use the push of his fire to change direction, but he can't. Not with his mother watching. And his trust proves to have been justly placed when he feels tentacles wrap around him, enveloping him in a tight yet careful hold. Izuku grins down at his teammates. Good catch. Shoji sighs in exasperation, but the mouth on the end of one tentacle is grinning right back. Uraraka, did we say we won't let you down, didn't she? I don't know if she meant it literally, Izuku laughs. Time's up, President Mike announces through their relieved joy. Now shall we see who our top 4 are? In first place, not only did they take back their 10 million, but a literal handful of other headbands just to rub it in. Team Midoriya! Yes! Their team cheers, Shoji lifting Izuku high into the air. He laughs. Thanks so much, you guys. I couldn't have done it without you. Uraraka beams up at him. What are you saying? It's thanks to you. It's a team effort, then. One of Shoji's mouth grins as he keeps Izuku wrapped in his tentacles, still holding him high above their heads. Izuku grins, but he finally notices all the gazes and cameras pointed their way. He blushes. Shoji, could you let me down? And Uraraka, could you return my gravity, please? Izuku asks in a small voice, face pink as he squirms awkwardly. His 2 teammates look at each other, then break into identical mischievous grins. Nope, Uraraka cheerfully informs him, popping the P. Sorry, we promised not to let you down, after all. And then they proceed to run around the arena in a victory parade, while still holding Izuku over their heads like some kind of living, squirming trophy. Izuku squawks in embarrassment and protest, but eventually ends up joining their laughter with a pink face. Hatsumi gives a long, unreadable look, then whips out a notebook and starts furiously scribbling in it. Mito, bunny, tentacle, burrito. Ooh, this is giving me so much inspiration. Uraraka and Shoji only let Izuku down once they're at the mess hall, and lunch's rowdy event of being nestled between his classmates. Plenty of congratulations and encouragements go around the table. By the end of the cavalry battle, there had been only 4 teams with any headbands at all, making Team Midoriya, Bakugo, Shinso, and Todoroki advance to the final stage of the sports festival. Izuku smiles at Ida. That move you used at the end was really impressive, Ida. Ida adjusts his glasses, trying not to show it, but clearly pleased by the praise he'd received. It's called Recipro Burst, and I'm glad that it made an impression, although ultimately you exploited its weakness. You deduced I wasn't able to move afterwards, correct? Ah, yes. As expected of you, Midoriya, Ida sighs. I understand why Uraraka and the others wanted to be on your team and help you. I wanted the same thing as well, but I also wanted to become independent of you. I realize that I've been relying on you too much. While having faith in your comrades is essential, dependence will only hamper everyone. That's why I joined Todoroki's team and challenged you, so that I wouldn't be just reliant on you, but become someone that you can rely on. Oh, Ida, Izuku whispers. His heart feels like it's in his throat, hurting for his friend and feeling so blessed at the same time. What did he do to deserve friends like these? Of course I rely on you. That's why I asked you to get reinforcements, because I knew you wouldn't let us down. Ida smiles gratefully at Izuku's words, and Izuku smiles back, but then he frowns. Wait, let me take that back and use another phrase. I swear, if someone uses that as an excuse to carry me around like a trophy on live television again... His classmates are roaring with laughter around him. Izuku, too used to years of abuse and bullying, had been immune to most of the jokes that the pranksters of the class had been sprunging on him, and now Uraraka and Shoji are getting pats on the back and thumbs up for finally managing to ruffle his feathers. The 2 take the praise with an unapologetic grace, making Izuku groan good-naturedly. Todoroki quietly steps up behind Izuku and taps his shoulder amongst the chatter. Midoriya, I'd like a private word if you're done eating. Izuku blinks. This is the person who declared war on him, without a care that their entire class was watching, after all. If someone as indifferent as Todoroki wants privacy, then this really must be something. Sure, I guess, Izuku says as he rises from his seat. Todoroki nods his thanks and turns his head, and he leads him away from the mess hall. We don't have much time before lunch break is over. Make sure not to be late, Ida calls after them, and Uraraka shoots Izuku a worried look. Izuku just waves back at them and follows Todoroki. Once they're in a secluded hallway, Todoroki leans back against a wall, puts his hands in his pockets. Izuku takes place opposite of him, not sure what this is all about. Todoroki had already thrown down the gauntlet, and he doesn't seem like the petty type, so what else could he want to say? After a brief pause, as if collecting his thoughts, Todoroki starts speaking. I originally wanted to talk to you as soon as the cavalry battle ended, but Uraraka and Shoji whisked you away too fast, he begins, with a perfectly straight face, but Izuku feels like it's burning again from the remembered embarrassment. During the obstacle course and the cavalry battle, I noticed that you kept a hand against your chest, but that you weren't coughing anymore. I said before that I'm stronger because my quirk doesn't rebound as much as yours, but it looks like you've already found a way around it. And not only that, but... Todoroki frowns. Neither Ida, nor Kaminari, nor Yaoyorozu, nor Shoji, nor Uraraka felt it. Only I did. I was the only one of us who saw All Might's fight with the Nomu at the USJ, after all. And in that last moment, I felt from you what I felt from All Might. Izuku is frozen. Todoroki had already unbalanced him once before, mentioning All Might but when he had declared war against Izuku, but he never thought his watered-down version of One for All could feel similar to All Might. He thinks back to the USJ. By the time All Might had arrived, he'd been too high on nerves, hormones, and instincts to really have a clear head. But he does remember what happened. Shortly after All Might had arrived, a few of his classmates like Bakugo, Kirishima, and Todoroki had also come to the plaza. Izuku had been too busy holding on to Aizawa then, and thus no one had seen him use his flames or One for All, so he'd never thought anyone would notice. Besides, they were all too engrossed with All Might's epic battle. To think that Todoroki would link All Might's One for All with Izuku's. Just how perceptive is this guy? Todoroki lifts his head and looks Izuku in the eye. Are you All Might's illegitimate child or something? Izuku takes it back. Perceptive my ass. And Izuku can't help it. He laughs. Somewhere in the back of his mind, Izuku recognizes that it's illogical, plausible deduction, but to him it's just so bizarre. So he laughs, and he laughs, and he laughs, and he laughs, because he doesn't know what else to do, and he doesn't know how to choke out the broken glass shattering inside him, and in his head, Hisashi laughs with him. If only life was so kind, he manages to gasp out. But life isn't kind. It's not even fair. Hisashi laughs in agreement. Like father, like son. But he is not your father. Izuku knows. He knows. He grins up at a bewildered Todoroki in baring of teeth that looks like it hurts. Sorry, but was that all? Todoroki looks at him for a long moment before he shakes his head, seeming to center himself. No. Whatever it is, you have a connection to All Might. That's all I need is a reason to beat you. And you alarmed me enough with your strength that I almost used the fire side of my quirk when I vowed never to use it offensively because you must know about my father, Endeavor. And from that point, all Izuku's dark humor vanishes as he listens to a story he has no right, being as familiar as it is. He's been the number 2 hero forever. Whatever he did, it was never enough to measure up to the living legend that is All Might, and because he knew that, he devised a plan. Todoroki pauses, working his jaw, then continues on with a purposefully blank expression. You know about quirk marriages, right? The outdated and barbaric practice of choosing mates solely to enhance the next generation's quirk. With the means and merits he had, he easily integrated himself into my mother's family and took possession of her quirk, all so that he could raise a hero to surpass All Might and claim it as his own victory. He raised his hand to cover the left side of his face, his scar. In my memories, my mother is always crying. She told me that my left side is ugly, and dumped boiling water on me. And Izuku can't breathe. The reason I aim to beat you is a personal triumph. I won't use my father's quirk. I'll be number 1 without needing to, and that is my total disavow to him. Todoroki finishes. But Izuku still can't breathe. He's wondered, of course, why Todoroki never used his heat except to melt the ice that he'd created, just like Izuku himself only pushes out the fire to negate the backlash of his pool, he realizes. But he hadn't thought about it. He hadn't thought about how it would be the same reason to himself. I won't use my father's quirk, Todoroki had said. I won't use your quirk, Izuku has memories of, and it echoes. I won't be like you. Hisashi laughs. It's as I've always said, boy, like father, like son. He chokes on something that's too wretched to be laughter, and too harsh to be a sob. What is it with abusive fathers and fire quirks? Slips out before he can stop himself. It's barely a whisper, but in this quiet, secluded hallway, Todoroki is able to hear it with unmistakable clarity. His mismatched eyes widen. Wait, what? Does that mean you too? The sound of President Mike announcing the end of lunch break resounds through the speakers. Izuku swallows thickly to ground himself and pushes off the wall that he'd come to lean on. He turns away from Todoroki to head towards the stadium. Midoriya, Todoroki calls, reaching out, but Izuku catches the hand sharply before he can fall onto his shoulder. We'll be late, he says curtly, not even turning around to face the other boy. His voice sounds odd even to himself, and maybe he's using this as an excuse to run away, but he can't. He abruptly drops Todoroki's hand and steps away. The boy keeps his hand lingering in the air as if still reaching out for Izuku. But Izuku can't see that because he's too busy trying desperately to keep the shattering shards of his mind and heart together. Izuku had never really liked Endeavor. His methods were too aggressive and calculating to garner Izuku as a true fan, but he'd respected him. He'd looked up to him. He'd watched him, seen him as a symbol. When he was trying to get over this pyrophobia, he'd made himself look at video clips of Endeavor for hours and hours on end and told himself, look, fire doesn't always hurt. It can do good, too. But now he knows better. His back burns. Izuku looks down at his left palm. He'd been holding his flames in his hand, letting it out and yet hiding it from view. The insides of his fingers and palm are pink with a light first-degree burn. He'd been so proud of finding a way to lessen the handicap of his quirk. He'd wondered if Aizawa would be proud. But now the thought had been willingly pushing out the flames. It made him sick. He'd always known, that this fire is tainted. This is his father's fire, after all, and it made his mother scream. But he'd also thought that it was only Hizashi that was the problem. Izuku had looked up to Endeavor as a hero, who uses fire for good. He had looked up to him as if everything Hizashi wasn't. But now, after hearing that he's no better than Hizashi, it feels like his world is burning down. This concludes Chapter 8 of Burn Your Wings. I will be back with the newest chapter here for you as soon as possible, and as always, thank you guys so much for listening.